The one on the left locks it. Right, you would just press the top.
You ready? Okay. All right, I'm calling this meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. We are going to immediately go to closed session, 2A, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 personnel, employment contracts of Michelle Wooten, employment contracts of Stephanie Quarles. 2B, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, attorney consultation for the purpose of a private consultation with the board's attorney in person or by telephone about pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer or a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the board under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the state of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. And then 2D, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.076, security devices or security audits to deliberate the deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or device or security audit. So at 5:31, we are now in closed session. Well, good evening, everyone. We are back from closed session. And before we move on at item number 3, reconvening our regular meeting at 6:17, I would like to place a very warm welcome to our new superintendent, Taylor Williams. We appreciate you joining us here in Decatur ISD. Okay, at this time, we'd move on to item number 4, the invocation. Matt, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Please stand with me.
Rise.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you tonight for the opportunity to be together with these people in this place. We pray that you would bless the many individuals in the audience tonight, the athletes and the artists and all the many, many accomplishments that they have brought to Decatur Independent School District and to their families as well. We thank you for each individual here. We pray that you would bless this time together, that we would make decisions that are in the best interest of every child at Decatur ISD. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. If you would continue standing, I'm sorry. I sat down, I'm a little quick on the draw there. Also, we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and today we have from Young Elementary, we have Sam Brown and Luke Brown. Their parents are Sarah and Jake Brown. So, guys, are you all ready to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? If you put your hand over your heart and face the flag behind you, there you go. All right, you ready? All right. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. Monique, do you want to? Okay. So, board, if you would go around, and we'll have a picture taken with the Browns. Stay up there. My bad. It's just trying to. Okay. We are now moving on to item number 6, which is the recognition of a whole lot of people. It's probably the largest crowd I think we've ever had, which means that it's incredible how the success of Decatur ISD and all of our groups. So the very first one we're going to recognize is Decatur ISD. This is Assistant Principal Month. So I'll turn it over to you, Monique.
All right, as Mr. Schultz said, we do have a number of recognitions. As many of you know, April 7th through 11th was Assistant Principal Week, and I think we all know that our assistant principals pull a heavy weight at our schools, and they truly are in many ways the backbone, the foundation, and they keep our schools running, and we're just so grateful for everything that they do. In particular, I also just wanted to add that the Decatur Education Foundation was able to provide a few gifts for them as well, so we're super grateful for DEF for that. And so with that, Mr. Lackey is going to help me pass out the certificates. And I'm just going to name them. I believe they all said they could be here, but just in case not, please forgive me. With Carson Elementary, we have Stacy O'Brien. A wonderful cheer from Mr. Weston. At Rand Elementary, we have Annalisa Elledge. At STEM Elementary, we have Jamie Petty. At Young, we have Courtney Roseberry. And at McCarroll Middle School, we have Christy Hankins as well as Dustin Marvin. And last but not least, at Decatur High School, we have three. We have Tammy Allen, Kyle Hutchins, and then Dusty Nauman, who's not able to be here, as many of you know, but we're incredibly grateful to him, and Mr. Lackey is going to accept his gift on his behalf. And then I'm going to move around just a little bit just so we can group these a little bit better. We also want to take a moment just to recognize our softball booster club as well as B&L Contracting. They took on an awesome project replacing the fence at the softball field, which is located next to McCarroll Middle School. And they removed it, they restored it with fresh paint, fresh sheet metal, hard metal, they reinstalled it. $3,500 is the value that they listed, but truly with the labor and time, it was probably much more than that. And so we're incredibly grateful to both groups, and special thanks to Coach Cheney. And so if we could have those representatives up here, we'd be grateful. Okay, up next we have, again, lots of student awards. We're going to start with the girls basketball team, and Mr. Lackey is going to help me pass these out. Ladies, when you are done, if you can stay here, we'll do a group photo and then go to the very back and stand. We're going to do a big group photo outside with just y'all because there's no way to get everybody up here. Sorry, oops, where's my list go? Okay. Starting with our list for Lady Eagles basketball, I'm just going to go by name really fast. Maddox Kaufman, excuse me. Lakin Kaufman. You can go ahead and hold your applause to the end. We got a lot to get through. Janie Holmes, Jaden Oates, Victoria Pena. Oh, I'm sorry, ladies. I probably wasn't clear. Victoria Pena, Cece Davis, Faith Pacheco, Jaden Cayley, London Gilbreth, Anna Wren, Style Brazil, Danny Melton, Hope Escobar, Renly Loganbaugh, Reese Christian, Crimson Dykes, Sailor Peck, Cadence Pelveca, can't get that word out today, Ava Green, Braylon Peck, Madison Struder. We also have team managers Jocelyn Ross and Gentry Stupka, as well as assistant coach Rachel Maxwell and head coach Drew Kaufman. And if you all remember, this is our state championship basketball winning team this year, back in February for the girls basketball, so incredibly proud of them. Okay, y'all, I can't tell you how nervous it is to write all those names and make sure you don't miss anyone. Up next, we have powerlifting at Decatur High School. Who did I forget? Okay, we've got powerlifting at Decatur High School, and we're celebrating both of our Eagles and our Lady Eagles powerlifting team. Both of them completed at the state championship finals for the Texas High School Powerlifting Association, as well as the Texas High School Women's Powerlifting Association. And if you've ever seen a powerlifter, you know that's pretty impressive. And so we've got a lot of names. I'm just going to run through these really quickly. On the girls' side, we have Destiny and Lestiny Rodriguez. Samantha Gam, Olivia Gonzalez, Hannah Millimem, Isabella Ramirez, Addison Campbell, and Carly Smith. And Isabella and Carly both came in second with silver medals for their results. Where if you look up the results on the internet, they're pretty impressive. And next we're going to have the boys state qualifiers join us. We have Brian Nieto, Lucas Britt, Angel Martinez, I should have numbered these pages, that's awkward. Andreas Aldape, Jonathan Donahue, Kevin Duran, Jordan Call, Drake Taylor, and Joseph Finley. And on the boys' side, Brian Nieto actually tied for 6th place, so super, super, super impressive. I do encourage y'all to go to those Facebook pages and actually look up some of the videos. It's pretty cool. Oh, no, how awkward. Coach Zimmer, please join us. This is what keeps me up at night, forgetting a name. Okay, y'all, we are almost through this list. Up next, we have welding at the high school. And so I've got 3 gentlemen to join us here as well. Jonathan Donahue, my apologies, Caden Forrest, and Shane Olaseki, as well as Brittany Willen. And up last, we have McCarroll Middle School. Swim. Y'all, I really should have numbered these pages, and so I do apologize. Okay, there we go. My apologies, everyone. So up next, we have Decatur High School Swim. And as many of you know, they competed in the 2025 UIL State Swim Championships at the 4A Division I level. This was back in February in San Antonio. We have several on the list, including Kinsey Hayes, Katie Martinez, Brooklyn Albaugh, Lainey Ballou, Jonathan Albaugh, Caleb McKee, Logan Foltz, Preston Dollins, Aaron Williamson, Max Vanderveer, Ace Maxfield, and we also have the entire swim team, I believe, here in the audience to celebrate with them. I also want to recognize Assistant Coach Jenna Barthold, as well as Coach John Capello. And while they walk up here, they had impressive results at the individual level. I'm not going to say them all, but overall, their team came in 4th at the state swim meet, which is incredibly impressive. And then the team with Aaron, Logan, Jonathan, and Preston, they set the 4A state record in the 400 freestyle. So just incredibly awesome. All right, I'm sorry. Last but not least, and thank you to Mr. Lackey for keeping me in track. McCarroll Middle School. We don't get to celebrate our middle school competitors that often, but fortunately, they did immensely well with the one-act play. If any of you follow us on Facebook, you know that they actually had a competition where they were competing against 6A schools. So super, super, super proud of them. They came in 3rd at the district level and 2nd at the Find Your Light Invitational. And so I'm going to start off with Mia Casillas. Yep, sorry. Thank you. Trinity McElhenney. Goodness, I should have drunk some water before I got up here. Alyssa Schultz. Ryder Sybanek, Allie Parker, Ellie Clackler, Gracelyn Massey, Harlow Yates, Michael Young, Ashley Walvert, Annabelle Roberts, Brinley Williams, Violet Swanson, Arieli Herrera, Nestor Martinez, Azura Riley, Presley Sasser, Brooklyn Self, Emily Armentero, Adeline Swanton, and then I also want to invite their teacher, Karen Hughes, to join us up front. All right, grin and bear us with us, folks. They're just sorting out the certificates. 1 second. Okay, in the famous words of that pig, that's all, folks.
All right. We're going to give them just a minute, whoever's going to clear out. And then we probably want to have the doors closed at some point. So there may be a lot of noise out there. Where's our... What happened to one of our board members? I'm moving forward. There. Okay, we're moving on to item number 7, public forum. Persons desiring to address the board must sign up at the designated time prior to the meeting. Board policy BED addresses public comment and public testimony at board meetings. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the public comment portions of the meeting designed for that purpose. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless requested by the presenting officer. No presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. We've got, I believe, 2 people signed up. Will you do the time? Okay. Our first person, and I'm probably not going to pronounce it right, forgive me, Mary Ziegelhofer. Did I pronounce that right? All right, good job. All right, you have 3 minutes. Do you want a 30-second warning or just, okay, then we will start when you begin your...
Thank you. We're here today as individuals, but as one unified voice from the Transportation Department. Our goal is to speak honestly about what's happening behind the scenes because we love our jobs, our kids, and this community too much to stay silent any longer. Kyle Mazik, Executive Director of Operations, has no CDL, no transportation background, and has made...
I'm going to have to stop you. That's discussion of a personnel. You cannot do that. You cannot single out an employee in your speech. You can only talk in general terms.
Okay, thank you. Our fleet is aging and has no backup buses. Our supervisor has requested replacements for years, ignored every time, and now her supervisor is bragging about new buses, only if the bond passes. What if it fails? He also misled the board. All radios are fixed. They're not. All buses are from 2016. Some are as old as 2006. Only one bus lacks AC. Many do not work. Claimed he inspected the whole fleet. Not true. A bus stop was moved without notifying the driver or our director. Responding to a single parent complaint, the new stop unsafe and outside of guidelines. We raised safety concerns and it was dismissed and suggested illegal modifications risking our license, liability, and lives. A driver who contacted the board member was told not to speak to the board again, called into a meeting during route, threatened with termination or reassignment. This is not how open communication works. Meanwhile, our director is told she cannot report positive news to the board or she can only report positive news to the board. No mention of mechanical failures, safety incidents, or missed routes. That's not transparency. That's censorship.
Next up, Catherine Martinique. Would you like a 30-second warning?
Yes, please.
Okay. We'll start when you begin.
Website manipulation and field trip issues. Our transportation page now redirects to the operations page listing Mr. Mazik and his assistant, not our actual leaders. Field trip pay is in discussion of being reduced, and requesting staff are denied last-minute trip requests. This is jeopardizing things like playoff games and UIL. While demanding more, they're threatening us with pay reductions. Ms. Perez was told her contract won't be renewed based on a future evaluation and 20 pages of unshared complaints. She has been pressured to resign multiple times, undermined in front of staff, cut out of communications. Her evaluation was based on old resolved issues, delivered with a peer, not a supervisor, done without a chance for her input. This isn't just unethical, it feels retaliatory. Pay disparity and discrimination. Why does the Director of Custodial Services, a white male, earn $75,000, while our Director of Transportation, Hispanic female, earns $66,000? What's the explanation? Gender? Race? Or is it just how little the district values transportation? Spending priorities. We're in a budget deficit, yet new software, FMX, was purchased. A marketing firm is pushing the new bond. Safety grants go to campuses, but not to buses. TAPT conference funds are denied. Meanwhile, radios and ACs still do not work. Are these really the right priorities? Support for Ms. Perez and our final message. Most of us stay because of Ms. Perez. If you force her out, you'll lose drivers. You won't replace us easily. There's a national shortage, and losing us means hundreds of students lose transportation, and the district loses thousands in funding daily. Superintendent, board members, don't just say you value communication, prove it. Ride a real route, talk to us, stop ignoring the people who make this district run. We are drivers, we're monitors, mechanics, parents, and taxpayers. We love our kids, we love our jobs, but we will not be silent while safety, respect, and truth are all thrown aside. It's time we do better.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 8, the superintendent report.
All right, had a lot to celebrate tonight, and the list continues. We had an art show outside. If you didn't get to check that out on your way in, super proud of all the work that our art teachers put in and the students. That was a true labor of love. Middle school soccer has officially kicked off. Both the boys and the girls teams have had their first games and have proven to be very competitive. DHS choir represented us well, performing the national anthem at the Frisco Rough Riders game last week. We have kindergarten roundup starting May 1st from 5:30 to 7, and that will be on all elementary campuses. We have several track and field state qualifiers. They'll compete, I believe, on Thursday, May 1st. Field events will be in the morning, and then running events that evening at 5 p.m. We'll have a state send-off for FFA. We had that this morning, and then we got to see several of those same faces this evening to honor them for their work as well. I think they compete later this week. And then we'll have an athletic signing day this Thursday, April 24th at the high school, with several athletes committing as well. So a lot to celebrate throughout the district.
Great, thank you. Number 9, the consent agenda, 9A, campus mapping, and the 9B, the minutes from the March 10th and March 13th. Really all we're looking for is just an approval of that, isn't that, or anything you need to explain?
Consent agenda.
Yep. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I approve the consent agenda as presented to the board.
All right, we've got a motion from Chief Campbell. We got a second? Second. Second from Jeremy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 10, the information. We'll start off with 10A, the Career and Technology Education Program Evaluation.
I'm going to try to hurry up and get through this before another one of y'all's kids wins the championship somewhere. I went to Grandview High School. I think I won a gold medal one time, and I was so proud of it, I had it bronzed, if that tells you anything. But it was really great to work with Decatur ISD in providing a CTE program evaluation. My colleague Chelsea Reeves and I do about 20 of those a year through all sizes of school, whether they're 1A, 2A, all the way up to, we did districts with 8 high schools, so it's incredible. Decatur ISD has a lot of good things going on and for CTE, and we'll go through and kind of look at just the highlights of the program evaluation. This is typically what is in our program evaluation. We do highlights observation, we do an enrollment analysis, we look at your programs of study, what type of IBCs and dual credit opportunities there are. We look at your just your PEIMS data and your reporting, and look at compliance and the student attendance accounting handbook, and we look at compliance as far as it's reported in the local expenditure review. As far as your FTE, I'm sure you guys know, stands for full-time equivalent. And if you'll look, we do a 5-year review, and this is basically your CTE enrollment. Kind of a way to think about it is a full-time equivalent in Career Tech is about 6 students enrolled in Career Tech. And that varies a little bit depending on if they're in 1, 2, or 3 credit courses. But in one credit course, an FTE is 6 students. And as you can see, you went from 238 FTEs in 19 and 20 to 2023, 2024, which was your last year of final data, you went to 336. There's a chart that shows your pretty steady common growth. You had 41% in CTE enrollment compared to 10% in district growth over that 5-year span, which is actually very common because you'll have kids take multiple CTE courses instead of just one. And so that's very common. Very good steady growth. That means that you're offering at least the breadth or enough programs to handle the growth of enrollment in the district. Your current programming is actually pretty impressive for a district with 1,000-ish. I think Mr. Lackey said, what was it, Chelsea, 1,050-ish students. It's really impressive for a district this size. Culinary arts, AV production, education and training, health science, business marketing finance, computer science, digital media, law, agricultural science, and automotive. Probably the comment that I would make in your programming is that your facilities are really not, your facilities are from the late 90s and the early 2000s instead of being kind of the catchphrase would be a 21st century CTE facility. But you have a lot of great teachers, the teachers that are making it work, and your administrative staff is making it work. However, typically students will learn and engage and retain more information if they're working in a facility standard that provides them at least some semblance of an industry standard. You have 16 programs of study and 11 different programs or career cluster areas. Again, really impressive for a district this size. You know, you should always review, and we'll talk about this right at the end, you should always review the programming and make sure that's the programming you want. But as far as the quantity of programming for a district this size, it's actually really impressive. Look, we also do a review of your A through F accountability, especially as it relates to areas that involve career and technical education. And you can see there students earning dual credits 14% below the state average, which is 26%. This information, Ms. Taylor, is from 21-22, and there's new data that's coming out on Thursday. So I hate that we're using, that's just the only public data available, so that's what we always use. But Thursday, these numbers, I encourage you to update this on Thursday, or we can update and send it to you. In this year, there were 11% of the graduates earned industry-based certifications compared to 19% the state average. Level 1 or level 2 certificates, which usually coincide with students attending dual credit programs at a community college, was you didn't have any students reporting during that reporting period. Your overall rating was a B, and for student achievement, which is where career and technical education falls. So there's certainly some low-hanging fruit there that could be picked up in terms of accountability points and post-secondary opportunities. Do have some great dual credit opportunities through Weatherford College and Tarleton State University. I think students go to Weatherford College to take cosmetology, and you have a partnership with your ag program in animal science. You have anatomy and physiology classes and horticulture. So those are pretty impressive dual credit opportunities. As far as your career and technical student organizations, you have two that really stand out as being extremely strong. You have your health occupation students, your HOSA, and these students are really engaged at the district level, the area level, and at the state level. And they also have a lot of, I think they did, if I remember right, Mr. Lackey, they do some type of senior prom or something that's just a really cool activity that they do for the local. And of course, you have a really good FFA association. You can go back there and see the banners and stuff there. As usual, Decatur's historically been a good FFA chapter. We also reviewed your PEIMS numbers, and we left this information with the staff. Again, we do this 20 schools, and you're always going to find stuff. That's why you call people in to have an extra set of eyes looking at it, and we left these recommendations for PEIMS changes. As far as the local expenditure is what you're reporting, the state is mandated to spend 55% of the career tech allotment on direct allotment to career tech programs. And the way that the direct allotment is judged as far as what you're coding, pick 22, and you're reporting 61%, so you're certainly being compliant in that area. And just to wrap things up, probably for key recommendations that we would make for you guys, as we sit here today in April 2025, probably the biggest recommendation we could do is that you're really getting to that point where you're over 350, 400 FTEs, and it's time for some clear, dedicated CTE leadership. If you think in terms of a special ed director or an athletic director, your CTE programs are just too big here and too complex. They need someone to champion that, and someone who picks up that low-hanging fruit, and it's just a time for Decatur to move in that direction to having a clear CTE leadership for the district. We recommend that you establish a task force to review, research, and make recommendations for new CTE facilities, updating existing ones, building new ones, whatever you guys decide to do as a community. Establish a task force for reviewing, researching, and making recommendations for CTE programming and curriculum. You know, maybe you're growing in and you think about adding some skilled trades, whether that be construction, HVAC, cosmetology here at the school. You know, there's all sorts of opportunities, but you need a task force that can go out and tour other facilities and look at what's being offered in the state, evaluate the workforce information. It takes a committee to do that. You need to incentivize your CTSO participation by teachers and students. And one of the things is that your students are so active here in Decatur that it's tough to find time in the schedule to do many more activities than what you got going on. But you can take and incorporate those CTSO activities into the classroom level. You can do in-district activity, and you're going to have students that aren't participating in, say, athletic activities that are going to find a home, and they're going to find success in those CTSOs. So some way to incentivize that. We need to establish, those numbers might have changed, but really the teachers need to know what is the expectations for the attainment rate of my seniors going through my programs of study. That needs to be established for providing IBCs and getting the students licensing and credentials. Establish expectations for the labs and shop management. You know, I know that some of the facilities are a little bit older, but as we were touring, a couple of the facilities need to be put into a shape that is more conducive to career and technical education learning environment. And so those expectations need to be established. Enhance practical experience in work-based learning. And just in general, annually you need to review the expenditures that are being spent in PIC 22 for direct CTE allotment, and to make sure that those expenditures are where they need to be. And I'm not saying that they weren't, just that needs to be an annual thing. Questions?
Yes, sir. On the PIC 22, you're showing that required level spending is 55. We're doing 61. Schools our size, what are they at? Is there a comparison? Are we in ballpark? Are we?
As far as what they spend on career tech?
Correct.
Yes, sir, no doubt about it. It's right in line with what most other schools do.
And of that 61% we're spending, how much of that goes to salaries versus goes to all the tools and equipment that's needed?
Well, a PIC 22 is a direct CTE allotment, so it should be, all of that money, that 61%, should be wholly, with the W, not just the H, but wholly spent on career and technical education. So the teacher salaries, equipment, anything that is directly, and I mean every bit of it, is spent on career tech. Let's say that you had a teacher that was teaching 3 anatomy and physiologies for health science and 3 biologies. Then you would charge 3/6, and yes, Chelsea, I know that's a half. I just prefer to say it would be 3/6 being charged off to career tech and 3 being charged off to science.
You work with a lot of districts, so any districts our size that you would encourage us to be talking to who's really, as far as facilities, I'm talking about specifically, that we should be talking to?
Now, if you put a committee together and you start going on tours, then you can take in, like a 6A district can have a fantastic cosmetology facility that you can just lift in place. It doesn't necessarily, they'll translate from one school to another. The 2 schools that I recommend that are small schools to go look at are Cold Spring, Oakhurst, that is going to go down I-45. And that's really worth the drive.
Okay.
It sounds like a long ways, but you could stop and see others. And then I would go to City View, which is around Wichita Falls, which is a real small district. They've really done incredible things with CTE facilities. And then I would recommend that you go to Birdville CTE Center, because when you talk about lifting and placing and just the vibe, the feel of a smaller building would be, that's what I would recommend, those 3.
Okay, thank you.
One more question on your recommendation for a director of CTE, or what exactly does this look like for schools our size?
Yes, typically, once you start getting around 350 FTEs, you probably need a director. Now, especially, now the state's probably going to come in and throw a whole lot of money at you, so you won't have to worry about finances next year.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, a CTE director paired with another position in the district, and what we see a lot of is they'll take CCMR and pair that with career and technical education.
And on that note, Taylor, obviously you got a lot on your plate right now. With Michelle leaving or no longer here, she was doing CTE. What's the intent to manage that, or have you gotten this far with? We're going to do a director position, or are we going to? Have you gotten that far yet?
No, I think we'll look at just kind of the structuring, and I really wanted to get the data from this to see where we stood and then go from there. But definitely needs to be part of the discussion.
And currently, so who will manage it at this time until because since Michelle's no longer here, who manages that now?
So there's campus level people, but then from the central admin piece, that would be me. And then the CFO obviously has a role in that as well.
And I do want to take a moment to thank Dr. Wooten and all of her team. 3 years ago, there was a director in Decatur for CTE, and that was when that employee resigned, that was overlaid on to Dr. Wooten and the team. They've worked really hard. Obviously, there's a lot of wins here that we should be thankful of, and I appreciate her time here.
Okay. Thank you.
No, good
Appreciate
stuff.
it.
Good room for growth.
All right, thank you. Appreciate all your work. Okay, moving on to 10B. This is the gifted and talented update.
yours is the GT? Okay, perfect. And then we will go down here to.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Violet Wilson, and I'm the GT coordinator. And in April, we celebrate GT awareness and appreciation. And so with that, I'd like to do an update of our K through 5 program. All right. Our goal for our gifted and talented students is to demonstrate their self-directed learning, thinking, research, and communication as evidenced through the development of innovative products and then just sharing that thinking with others. Our mission is to provide challenging and enriching opportunities for our gifted kiddos. And so here is kind of the rundown of our program numbers. So Ran has 45 kiddos in the GT program, Ennis at 69, Young at 30, and Carson at 57, bringing the enrollment numbers to 201 for our elementary GT kiddos. And then here is kind of our core curriculum, and our focus comes from the TPSP projects, and that is the Texas Proficiency Standards projects from the state. And on this project, the kiddos are including the 4 pillars of GT, so creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and leadership. This is a group of kiddos that are 4th grade, and they had chosen for their product Pursuit of Passions. And with that Pursuit of Passion, it has a focus on fashion. So in that last photo, they really dove in with depth and complexity and created a timeline showing the change over time and looking at all of the different factors of how fashion could be integrated into society and then future careers. Another focus that we have is our Earth Day projects. And so kiddos got to learn about plastics and the dangers of the environment. They got to collaborate within their self and also included AI. And so the first 2 photos has a kiddo that's created a poem, and he's edited and integrated with AI to go and revisit and to kind of finesse that project. The second 2 photos have a group of kiddos that used Canva to create an infographic about awareness for marine animals. They also used clips to design a PSA or a public service announcement to inform others about the awareness of plastics in the environment. Along with that, I want to share that we also have a concentration in GT for community and family involvement. So we just recently had a celebration time at the Trash Bash. It's with the TRWD, and so it's the Tarrant Regional Water Department, sorry. And so they celebrate kiddos and people in the community that go back and help to clean our Lake Bridgeport. That also ties in with our 2nd grade, and we really connect with our water plant here in Decatur. And so we take a field trip for the 2nd grade GT kiddos, and they get to see hands-on what's happening with our community and our water. So they get to walk out and see the different layers of how our water is sourced and cleaned, and connect with different experiments and things there at the water plant. So just some program highlights for successes. We have had tremendous growth in our GT program. It is a personalized learning where it is student-driven and project-based. There's increased engagement, and then positive feedback from teachers and students from community surveys. Areas for improvement, I am looking at developing more PD opportunities for our teachers. I've worked with Ms. Tara Bennett to kind of coordinate and create some Canvas courses so that our teachers could have more access to that professional development. And I really want to work on refining that and offering some more opportunities for our teachers and our people. And then also, just kind of ensuring that our kiddos have that personalized experience and exposing them to future opportunities. So things that we're working toward. All right, and so in closing, I just want to thank the board for their support. I really want to thank all of our teachers, all of our people, our families, and our students for supporting GT and helping us through our learning journey. And then I want to open the floor if y'all have any questions or any further feedback.
Is there anything the board can do to help you? Is there any needs that you have that the board has potential to help with?
Well, sorry, I'm walking away from that, like coming to see you, hey. No, well, just continued support. We do have a budget, and so I do utilize every penny toward that GT. A lot of it is based on our testing and just that hands-on identification. And so I really kind of space out if I can include more robotics or more hands-on things for the kiddos. And I'm looking at different online programs and things that I could integrate. So if you come across anything where you find that you would think that it's GT related or even STEM or different critical thinking, if you have anything like that. And then I'm also including a financial piece because I really want our kids to be ready for the future. So we're looking at investments and we're looking at how they can set up a portfolio to make themselves more of an open entrepreneur. So that's kind of where our society is geared. So if you have any connections like that, I'm welcome to look and see how I can integrate.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, 10C is our School Health Advisory Council, the SHAC update.
Sorry.
Hi.
Hey.
All right, so Darlene and I are going to provide the SHAC update, and then also we have an action item, so may we do both of those now, or do you want us to come back up here? Is that okay? Okay. All right, so just to give you an update, SHAC has continued to meet each month with the exception of December and March. This year, we have Sandy serving with us on SHAC. This year's focus has been to find a suicide prevention program and character traits, and there are two that the district counselors have been using various pieces of. One of them is the Sandy Hook Promise, and that is after the Sandy Hook tragedy. And we use that for Start With Hello Week, and then we have Random Acts of Kindness that we use in the month of February. These were presented to SHAC to review and officially recommend as approved resources. Darlene and I, as counselors, have researched various programs through other entities that we're involved in, such as Children's Advocacy Center, Child Fatality Review Team, and the Wise County Youth Mental Health Ad Hoc Committee. Through those, we have been able to provide a list of possible resources that SHAC then explored in greater detail, and many of those resources are not available in Wise County, unfortunately, and that shortened our list. DISD counselors provided a pros and cons list to the council of several programs that are available, and the SHAC members were then able to review the suggested programs themselves before we had a group discussion where we created a pros and cons list prior to voting, and unanimously we voted for these recommendations.
So SHAC would like to recommend Random Acts of Kindness. The district uses a small piece of this program during February for Random Acts of Kindness Week. It will allow for monthly character traits along with monthly calendars of Random Acts of Kindness, different related items. It would allow us to provide more resources to parents and families, helping to continue those conversations at home, and this is a free resource. Erica's Lighthouse is a free suicide prevention program that would provide counselors with ready-to-go lessons that address depression education and awareness and suicide prevention for grades 4 through 12. This resource also provides a parent education piece and is available in both English and Spanish. DISD counselors, we would be the ones responsible for providing these lessons to students, and there are additional supports that could be implemented later, such as parent workshops, and this is also a free resource. The Sandy Hook Promise, which is a program DISD currently uses for that Start With Hello Week during September. It stems from the tragedy of Sandy Hook and addresses violence prevention, including bullying and suicide prevention for grades K through 12. It's a free resource that focuses on reducing social isolation, increasing peer connections, and empowering students to speak to a trusted adult when they see a student in need. So over the past 3 years, SHAC has worked diligently to research resources to help support our district teachers and counselors as we deliver required health teaks. Next year, SHAC will review approved resources that we've been implementing to see how that's working and explore new resources that district counselors have learned about through professional development and through our involvement in Wise County task forces. Does anyone have any questions?
I always have a question. Dr. Wooten, 3 years ago was assigned SHAC. The board's required to do four quarterly meetings. That's by education code. However, she was able to do monthly meetings, and it's very transparent, it's recorded, it's online, all the good stuff. Are we going to see this continue? Because obviously that was a district that put in more effort than the required by law. Are we going to continue monthly meetings, Taylor? I mean, is this something we can do? Because we've come a long way in 3 years by doing monthly meetings. I think the community has seen a lot of results from that. I'd like to see that continue, but that's obviously, I don't know who's going to do that.
Yes, we actually met last Thursday, and we were able to get all of this together. And then we have our meeting planned for May. And then we've already talked about what we need to put on basically the agenda for August, September-ish, and then how we're going to do that for next year. So
We'll continue
Yes,
in the
sir.
future to meet monthly?
Yes.
Excellent. I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. I know it's a lot of work.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're moving on to 10D, the announcement of board training hours. You guys are just going to have to bear with me on this. This is very long, but I'm legally required to read all of this out, and I can tell you it's boring. So if you want to take a quick nap, feel free to. Okay, under State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As the board president, I'm required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment or 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 8 training areas for board member continuing education: local district orientation, orientation to the Texas Education Code, post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code, team building, additional continuing education, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children, and then school safety. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to the required training. For members who have still time remaining to complete the required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members' training in excess of the continuing education requirements. Okay, first, the following first-year board members have completed the local district orientation training: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, Matt Joyner. The following first-year board members have completed the orientation to the Texas Education Code training: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, and Matt Joyner. The following board members have completed post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, Jeremy Duncan, Matt Joyner, Scott Kaler, Sandra Schneider, and Stan Schultz. Team building. The following board members have completed the annual team building training: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, Jeremy Duncan, Matt Joyner, Scott Kaler, Sandra Schneider, and Stan Schultz. The next is for additional continuing education. The following board members have completed the additional continuing education requirements: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, Jeremy Duncan, Matt Joyner, Scott Kaler, Sandra Schneider, and Stan Schultz. Evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. This is to be completed every 2 years. The following board members have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, Jeremy Duncan, Matt Joyner, Scott Kaler, Sandra Schneider, and Stan Schultz. Identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. This training must be completed every 2 years. The following board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, Jeremy Duncan, Matt Joyner, Scott Kaler, Sandra Schneider, and Stan Schultz. School safety. This training is to be completed every 2 years. The following board members have completed the biennial training on school safety: Nate Bayless, Delvin Campbell, Jeremy Duncan, Matt Joyner, Scott Kaler, Sandra Schneider, and Stan Schultz. And finally, last but not least, exceeding required continuing education. Board member Stan Schultz exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 8 hours. at 8 additional hours. Board member Matt Joyner exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 16 additional hours. Board member Sandra Snyder exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 4.75 additional hours. Board member Nate Bayless exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 3.75 additional hours. Delvin Campbell exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 7 additional hours. Jeremy Duncan exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 4.75 additional hours. And board member Scott Kaler exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 9.5 additional hours. Whew. Okay, got that read. We can move on to 10E, the financial information, and 10E1, the monthly financial statements, 10E2, tax collection report, and tax pool monthly statement of accounts and payment of bills.
I'm just going to cancel this out. So you don't have to
And while she's coming up, this is Brandon De Palma. She's with Region 11. They've kind of stepped in and served our business office in the business services in, I guess, the transition between CFOs. So.
Yes, thank you for the welcome. I'm very pleased to be here this evening. As she said, I'm Brandon De Palma. I'm the Chief Financial and Operations Officer at ESC Region 11. I'll be presenting to you the financials for March 2025 as prepared by Ms. Watson. So I'm just going to take you through the highlights. First, we're going to start with looking at your general revenues to expenditures. We're going to start there at the top of the page. You'll see in total, your total revenues that you've recognized at this point is $32.7 million. That is about 86% of your budgeted revenue, which was $38.1 million. You'll see in comparison to prior year, 23-24, you're right on par, actually a little ahead of where you were last year, so that's great news. Then moving down the page to your expenditures. Your expenditures thus far, as of the end of March, were $23.3 million. In comparison to your budget, which was $39.8 million, you'll see you've spent about 58%. Again, comparing that percentage-wise to last year, you're right on par. So then if we take a look at the next page, it's going to focus a little more just on your revenue in your general operating fund. So the first thing to point out is your current tax levies. You'll see there at the top, you've already recognized 98% of your tax levies. So you've brought in $23.6 million out of your $24.1. The only thing to really notate here in those local revenues at the top is there's a slight decline in your interest income. Again, this is not unique to Decatur. This is just due to the economy and the slight decrease in interest rates. Moving down, you'll see in total revenues, again, you've brought in $24.6 million out of $25.4, so right on target. Then looking at your state revenues, your total revenues, you've brought in $8.14 million out of 12.4. Again, that's about 65% of your budget. Comparing it to previous year, you're right on track. Then the last thing is looking at your SHARS revenue. Now here you will see a drastic decrease. Again, this is not a unique problem to Decatur. This is what each district is facing here across Texas. This is due to the 2017 federal audit that TEA went through, so they've drastically cut back all the SHARS reimbursements. So that's not unique here. And then lastly, taking a look at your food service and your debt service funds. So there at the top, food service, you've brought in $1.2 million in revenue out of your budgeted 2.3, so it's about 51%. And then looking at expenditures, they're almost right in line. You've spent $1.4 million out of 2.8, so again, right at 51%. Then taking it down to your debt service, you've already brought in $8.9 million. You made your first debt service payment of 1.6, so again, you're right on par and right where you should be. So with that, does anybody have any questions about any of those items? Okay, then the other things in your packet, again, are just, it's taking a look at your monthly tax revenue based off of your tax office, which has already been included in those financials that you reviewed, and then it's a copy of your tax pool statements that shows all your transactions, and then your check registers. Any questions on any of those things?
I got a question concerning the SHARS, and I don't know if we have this information yet since with the turnover, but I don't know if it was last year or the year before, we approved legal services to join the lawsuit.
Yes.
Is there any movement on that lawsuit, or are we going to be able to recover any of that monies?
I honestly do not know specifically here yet. We can dig into that for you. we will take a look at that. I know that, like you said, several districts did join that lawsuit, so we will take a look at that for you and see.
And I guess, Taylor, do you know, or is that reoccurring expenses, or is it if we can find out if it was a lump sum we paid once, or are we still paying monthly for this lawsuit? I would be curious to know that.
Yeah, we're also looking into other SHARS groups to do the reporting for us. There's some other options out there, and I think it's worth, at this point, exploring what those might be.
For certain.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Lastly, I just want to say that I want to commend Ms. Williams' leadership here and her commitment to financial transparency. We're very proud to be here tonight to support all of you and her work in this transition, and we're here for any next steps needed.
Okay, thank you. All right, item number 11, action items. The first one is 11A, consider to take possible action regarding certification and provision of instructional materials for 2025 and 2026.
So this is the annual certification of instructional materials for the 25-26 school year regarding curriculum based on, each content area and the chosen resources. And they are all listed under each subject area as well as grade level.
All right, any questions?
Are there any changes from last year? Are we changing vendors or anything big changed here on the curriculum?
No, we did, and I've got a few in the back, Jenny and some others. We did look at some of the social studies curriculum, and we pulled usage reports, and we spoke to some of those teachers in regards to that. And so we did remove SAVAS, which is a middle school and high school curriculum that we had very little usage on, and Jenny and I crunched some numbers, around $100,000 savings.
Thank you.
There you go ahead.
No other questions? Do I have a motion?
I recommend the approval and certification of provision of instructional materials survey for the 25-26 school year.
All right, I have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Sandy. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. All right, 11B, consider and take possible action regarding SHAC committee recommendations, which you just heard, for suicide prevention resources, including Random Acts of Kindness, Erica's Lighthouse, and Sandy Hook Promise. It didn't sound like there were any questions, but if you have any, please ask them at this time. If not, then I would be looking for a motion.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the SHAC committee recommendations for suicide prevention resources, including Random Acts of Kindness, Erica's Lighthouse, and Sandy Hook Promise.
Okay, I have a motion from Matt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jeremy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. 11C, the annual renewal of Education Service Center Region 11 Benefits Cooperative Interlocal Agreement.
This is also the annual renewal of the service center benefits, and this all stayed the same as to what y'all have typically done in the past. There were no changes there.
Okay. There are no questions. Do I have a motion?
I recommend the board approve the annual renewal of the Education Service Center Region 11 Benefits Cooperative Interlocal Agreement.
I have a motion from Nate. Do I have a second? Second from Sandy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. All right, 11D, consider and take possible action regarding extending the depository agreement with First Financial Bank. We've been with them for a while.
This is, yeah, again, an annual renewal, and this is just an extension, and so for First Financial.
How often do we do RFQs? Is there fees here that we should go out and seek every once in a while? Is this something we do?
I have done that in the past, as far as from a district perspective. Currently, I'm not sure on that.
Do you have a recommendation for
practice
a
has
certain amount
been-
of time that this should be looked into? Or?
I think it depends on the, I guess, the agreement for one, but then, yeah, your services and,
I mean, obviously,
Customer
I understand
service,
there's a lot of,
obviously.
I understand there's a lot of turnover, and I mean, I get that.
right,
but
yeah.
just
And I
don't-
have not heard anything in regards to First Financial as that relationship unless there's something I've missed along the way.
No, I don't have anything negative at all. I think all public contracts should be looked at every so often, just to make sure that
And
we're
just
not
like we
leaving money
talked
on the
about
table.
SHARs, I do think that there needs to be regular practice of looking at those areas.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I recommend the board approve the extension of the depository agreement with First Financial Bank and, NA.
I have a motion from Sandy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jeremy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. 11E, consider and take possible action regarding resolution amending authorized representative for tax pool.
So this is in order to add me as an investment officer in the transition of not having a CFO. Meredith Culpepper, she's also in the audience. She's our current investment officer, so I think it's just best practice to have more than one person within the district to do that.
I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the resolution amending authorized representatives for tax pool.
I have a motion from Matt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Delvin. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. 11F, consider and take possible action regarding the district improvement plan related to school resource officer duties as outlined in our school resource contract.
I believe this was discussed at the last meeting, and so this is just to agree to the SRO duties that are specifically outlined and to clarify the exact roles and responsibilities that they have within our campuses.
And there are no questions. I'd be looking for a motion for this one.
I recommend the board approve the changes to the district improvement plan related to school resource officer duties as outlined in the school resource officer contract.
I have a motion from Nate. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Matt. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. All right, 11G, consider to take possible action regarding the non-chapter professional contracts for extension and renewal. Do we need to discuss that? If not, I'd be looking for a motion for that.
Mr. President, I recommend the approval of the professional staff as presented and authorize the superintendent to issue the appropriate contract to the employees listed.
Have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second? Second from Sandy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. 11I, consider to take possible action regarding employment of new professional personnel for the 25-26 school year. If there is no discussion on this employee, I would like a motion, please.
I recommend the approval of the professional staff as presented and authorize the superintendent to issue the appropriate contract to the employees listed.
Have a motion from Jeremy. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second from Matt. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. 11J, consider to take possible action regarding employment contract with Michelle Wooten. In this case, there is no action to be taken by the board. 11K, consider to take possible action regarding the employment contract of Stephanie Quarles. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I recommend to accept the superintendent's recommendation to extend the contract of Stephanie Quarles for 25-26 and 26-27 school years.
I have a motion from Matt. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Nate. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. It is 7:32, and we are adjourned.